Hi guys, happy Sunday. I'm so excited to hang out with you today. We're meeting a new friend and we're going to talk about keto and we're going to talk about carnivore and we're going to talk about why it's not boring and why it's so awesome. So we're going to meet Matt today. He should be popping in a moment. So I just want to let you guys know, once Matt gets in here, I'm going to swipe away the comments on Instagram so that we can get a clear recording for our Facebook, because we're on Facebook Live too. So if you guys want to leave a comment, I will scroll at the end of the live to see what the comments are, and I have my extra device. There you are. So send me the join request, Matt. It clicks through way better if you send it than if I do. Just experience. I'm saying. So as soon as you send me the joined request, I'll accept it and we'll get on the go. I'm seriously, I'm excited. This is another feat of amazingness. Matt is all okay. So I'm gonna swipe away our comments. That way we get a clear screen. Hello.
Hey, Dory.
Oh,
How are we doing?
To meet you. I know everyone's excited to meet you.
Cool.
We love talking meat on this channel.
Fantastic.
So why don't we start with introduce yourself, because I only just found you, so that means maybe my people don't know who you are just yet.
Okay, so I'm Matt. I'm the Keto coach. I live on the south coast of England in Devon on the cliff top, and I've been doing Keto and then on to carnivore and back to Keto now for probably the last 2 years after studying nutrition, psychology, and the whole thing's sort of come together now, hence the coaching. And that's probably my quick story.
Yay! So if some of my people have never heard this super cool new word, ketovore,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit? Why don't we start there?
Yeah, that's a perfect place to
start. Tell us a little bit about what's ketovore and how is it different from regular keto or just carnivore?
Yeah, that's a really good place to start. So ketovore, that term has grown so much in the last year. If you Googled it a year ago, a few things would have come up. Now it's becoming very, very popular. And I think it relates to people's journey, really. I think a lot of people that go with keto look into foods a little bit more and adapt, and can sometimes go down to carnivore and find it probably too restrictive. And I'm sure you'll have people that follow you that have tried that, come back to keto, because keto is very wide ranging. You can do so much with keto with the same basis of low carbs and, you know, managing your insulin levels. Carnivore is more of a, realistically, it's an elimination diet. It's there for people who have got other issues that may be autoimmune, maybe mental issues in terms of actually trying to rebalance their body. And some people end up sticking to carnivore. And I think you mentioned to me that, you know, people have gone carnivore and said, I do this because I just want to see food as fuel. I don't want any temptation that's going to lead me back to emotional eating. Yeah. For me, ketovore ends up as being the halfway house. It's the area where you can actually still look at vegetables and other foods and say, I'm going to avoid those because I know they can be, for a lot of people, irritating or inflammatory. And I know that I can add to my carnivore list with certain vegetables that are very low in inflammatory properties, lectins, and issues that could flare some people up, but not everybody. So ketovore is really meat, fish, eggs, a carnivore diet, but with certain well-chosen vegetables and other foods included as well. So if somebody who sees carnivore as too much, they'll often arrive at ketovore as, okay, I'm still eating super low inflammatory foods, but I'm not having this extreme of got to be meat, got to be fish.
So let's kind of go off from that and talk a little bit about the Carnivore Police, because I don't know if you've ever encountered the Keto Police, but in my experience, the Carnivore Police are like a step up. So how do we kind of bridge that gap in between keto and carnivore? Because to me, I love everybody. Like, I love the vegans, I love the carnivores, I love the ketovores, but I feel like it's almost like the way we eat becomes so important that we can't let somebody vary off. Like, I have come across carnivore pages and somebody will post the odd vegetable and they'll get comments. Oh,
Oh
well,
yeah,
that's not very carnivore of you. And if you ate something carnivore, you're not carnivore anymore. Like, you ate a vegetable, dude. So I'm taking away your carnivore card. Just saying.
absolutely. I see it all the time, and I've got to say, there's obviously a little devil in me. If I'm bored sometimes, I'll jump onto one of these Facebook groups and wade into the argument. Because, of course, I can always wade in with the I'm a qualified nutritionist badge if I really want to shut somebody down. So there's a little bit of fun to be had there sometimes. Here's a great example, and I think a lot of people have come across this. So somebody on one of the carnivore groups posted the question, "Can I have mushrooms?" And of course, the standard Carnivore Police answer is a mushroom an animal. To which I then I asked the question, "Is a mushroom a plant?" And the debate started because a mushroom is neither.
Fungus. I know that.
It's a fungus. Exactly. But the Carnivore Police were stumped because what did it fall into? And actually, we're sort of making fun of it. The reality is, the best question about anything is why. Why does somebody go carnivore? I actually think that probably 80% of the people in the Facebook groups that are on carnivore groups don't fully know why they are eating carnivore. Because if it is as an elimination diet, if it's somebody with autoimmune issues or something where they've got allergies and they're trying to eliminate it down to the most basic type of food, then goodness me, absolutely agree. Stick to them as minimal as possible. Because one step on from carnivore diet is lion diet. And if you've heard of that one. So, just beef and water and, super extreme. But a lot of very ill people have got better by doing that and then stepping back a bit and reintroducing certain foods. So, Carnivore Police, what's their reason for being that way? A lot of the time it's because they want to be sanctimonious and tell somebody off. It's not because they're doing it because of any scientific reason. So there we go. That's the best answer for anyone that's trying to challenge you, is actually to say, why do you do it? What is the reason for saying that, people who follow you, shouldn't have almond flour, for instance, or shouldn't have asparagus, or shouldn't have aubergine, eggplant in your world?
Well, and I think as keto becomes more popular and carnivore becomes more popular, I find that every surgence of new people kind of brings the new police down on us. Like, and I get it. It's so exciting when you think, I love this. I'm passionate about it. I need to share. You know what? Maybe they don't know that's wrong for them. Maybe they didn't even know. Maybe they wouldn't know if I didn't tell them.
Exactly. We just have to accept that's the way, and that is no different, Dory, and you and your followers and people I know that are in this. The umbrella over all this is low carb. So
yes.
Whether you want to go into the different individual terminologies, low carb, and the reasons for doing that, to protect your pancreas, to balance your metabolic system, to be metabolically efficient with your insulin. That's low carb. Your pathway into different things then actually is got to be down to the whys of why somebody would do that. I totally get somebody may step into keto and say, God, I'm going to miss bread too much. I need to find a low carb type of bread, because that's fundamentally part of how I live. I couldn't have scrambled egg on toast and I can if I have low carb bread. Now, that to a lot of people would be, well, crikey, you're changing your diet, so you'll change it to a new way of eating. So you've got to never have pasta again. You've got to never have bread again. So a restrictive thing, which makes it really hard for people. And you must have that challenge that you've got a lot.
Well, and I think those are the people that Dory battles in the comments, because I feel like you care when you care, right?
Yeah,
Like if you first if you start off the standard American diet and everything you eat comes out of a box or out of a package, you might not care about labels. But then you start eating keto like I did. So we're gonna rat Dory out. And the first time that the thought occurred to me that there's information on the label that I want, like actual information that matters to me. I
yeah,
was 40 years old and I was standing in the grocery for 2 hours reading everything, going, oh my
yeah,
God, are you kidding me? What?
exactly,
Since when? Since when have they been putting that in my food? Since when?
exactly.
And it's not like I couldn't read a label before. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. That's on the whole other side of the can from the directions. Like, I'm just saying.
No, totally true, totally true. And I think I would imagine the other thing you found and I've found hard to not hard to cope with, but hard to step away from is you can only help people who want to be helped.
Yes.
That's been my biggest thing to come to terms with. So, you know, when you see somebody or you've got a friend who's got an issue, I've got a friend who's got an issue with arthritis. He's young, so he's you know relatively young. He's 40 years old. His left elbow is swollen up like a cricket ball all the time, hurting him, painful. And of course, one day I said, I could help you with that if you wanted to. Oh, how could you do that? All excited. And I went into quite a restrictive diet. You know, if you go down to, for me, that's training him and getting him into doing carnivore and eliminating a lot of the things that would be aggravating that. And as soon as I sort of explained what he'd have to eat and drink, oh no, I couldn't do that. No, that's ridiculous almost. And I'm saying, okay, you're in constant pain, but it obviously can't be that painful if obviously you can't give up your cup of tea with 3 sugars, because that's what it probably boiled down to.
Well, and I think sometimes you don't realize the benefit that that's going to be either. Like, until you wake up a day and you realize my knee doesn't hurt, my elbow doesn't hurt. Do you know what? When was the last day I had a migraine? You know what? My IBS hasn't been acting up.
Yeah.
You know, is it just me or have I been less anxious lately? But until you get to that point where you have seen the benefits of keto, it's really hard to imagine this magical diet that's going to make it all better. Like I think that's difficult for people to conceptualize because you're not coming from a point of knowing that. Like for me, I've been keto almost 4 years. So I know if I eat something off plan, I'm going to be anxious for 3 days. My stomach is going to be upset. I might or might not get a couple migraines. I may have issues with my cycle that month. So those are things I factor in now, right? Like it's not just, oh, well, I feel like I don't want to pick the toppings off pizza like a loser, I'm just going to eat the pizza. But now for me, I get to layer in all these factors. Like, do I really want to stress out for 3 days?
Yeah.
That one's the worst. Like anxiety, I think it's the most difficult because there's no explanation for it. It's just a general feeling of foreboding, like something bad is going to happen. And when I have that feeling come over me for 3 days, I just remind myself, you're not actually losing your mind, Dory. You ate something you weren't supposed to. You're not losing your mind.
Exactly.
But that moment just, it kicks me right back. And it reminds me, I could live my whole life like that all day, every day. And it could happen to me like that, because I don't know how many of my friends have said, do you know what? I was going to have a cheat meal. And then I thought, well, I already wrecked that day. And then I got up in the morning and I thought, man, I'm tired and I'm lazy. I'm just going to have cereal. And then you wake up and it's 6 months or a year later and you're like, oh my God. Dory, how did that
100%.
happen to me? Because that wasn't going to happen. That was not in the plan.
And yeah, I mean, you've led on to a, probably my favorite area really, because my coaching is nutritional, and there's a couple of sides to it. There obviously people who approach me and their main reason for going keto, ketovore, carnivore, for most people will be to lose weight and get fitter. And a lot of the time it's the positive side effects that then make them go, wow, this now isn't going to be a diet. This is how I want to live, because the brain fog has gone, the mood swings have gone, this hormone stability is back, and I feel calm and measured and actually quite sharp, and everything is good. So there's that side where people accidentally stumble over the positive side effects, because actually all they wanted to do at start was to lose some weight. And then there's the specialist coaching. So I'm coaching somebody who's got severe psoriasis. She's tried everything, absolutely everything. She had psoriasis for 30 years, and she's got a job. She's a estate agent, and house real estate. And she's UK, London based, on lockdown, and the psoriasis has spread to her face. And now, imagine the anxiety of, we're coming out of that lockdown on the 12th of April. She's going to have to go back out selling houses with, the first time in her life, this psoriasis on her face. And of course, she's tried everything for the psoriasis. She's tried cream, she's tried different things. And now she's, reached out to me to say, yeah, I'm prepared to try something different. Now, that's a much more rewarding type of coaching in a way, because that will be so life-changing. Somebody losing weight can change everything great. But for her, that will be a huge, huge thing. So that type of coaching is slightly different. The part that I find really, really interesting is this part where you've said about people that will fall off the wagon, and then almost a week goes by, months goes by, they'll find almost an excuse not to go back to the plan. And that's all up there. That's all the subconscious of somebody ruling their decisions. And that's probably the most interesting part of the coaching, because if you can actually help somebody, learn how to control their subconscious part of their mind, which is the decision-making part of your brain, then they avoid these pitfalls. Because I've been there. Most people have. And if anyone says they've never done that, that's a lie. We've had tough days, tough things, where you've got home and you've gone, do you know what, I'm reaching for that because I'm going to get a dopamine release, and that's going to calm me or make me happy or chill me out, whatever that may be. And the dopamine release is generally, sugar.
Well, and I was really good at lying to myself about a lot of things when I was very obsessive about food. I had a lot of issues with hoarding food and hiding food, and it only counts if somebody sees me eating that food. And you know what? I am alone so much of the day now that my mindset is important. And I live in a house where not everybody's keto. That is just how it is. I'm the only person in my house who's strict keto. So at any given moment of any given day, I can say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to eat some potato chips, or I'm going to have a slice of bread. Nobody's looking. But for me, I see the effects right away. And some people, I guess, maybe call it lucky. I don't know. I feel like I'm the lucky one because eating off plan makes me sick, which reminds me to don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't see that immediate, like, bang, that was a bad thing, then sometimes it's easier to just kind of go with that flow for a while until you wake up 6 months later. Whereas if I eat something, I feel like somebody hit me with their car for about 3 days. It takes about 3 days to pass. I have no energy. Yeah. I'm tired. I can't sleep well at night. You name it. Like all of the things that keto has helped me fix, they give me a little sampler, just a little sampler platter to remind me, oh yeah, girl, you have anxiety. Don't forget that. Oh, you got some tummy issues. You might want to number that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that it's quite scary when you think about it. That slip off, if somebody was to, as you say, just say, I'm gonna have a cheat day, and that's probably one that you probably get asked a lot. Is it okay to have a cheat day? I get asked by people who are starting to coach, is that okay to have a cheat day? I even had my brother when finally one of my family actually embraced the idea, which they're generally the last people to do that. As you're smiling, so you know. So family are the ones that you're never going to crack. However, my brother messaged me one day and said, me and Holly are going to do keto. And I said, okay, great. I help you all I can. So I went through a lot of the principles, kept it as simple as can be. And a week on, he's saying, yeah, we're feeling good. Yeah, feeling good. Can start to feel the difference. And he said, we're gonna have a cheat day every Saturday night. And I said, well, you're crazy. You're spending the whole week converting your brain and body to burn fat for fuel, and then you're going to throw a different fuel back in. It's like converting your car to run on diesel, and then on the Saturday putting some gas back in it, and wondering why the car's not running too well. It's as simple as that. But people do want these cheat days. Your subconscious brain again knows because you've had plenty of years of doing it, that a carby meal is going to release serotonin, dopamine, opiates in your brain that make you feel happy. Chocolate's the best one. Everybody knows that chocolate will release those hormones into your brain. But as you know, the price to pay for having a great big bar of chocolate on a Saturday night is that you'll feel great for a couple of hours. You won't sleep very well. You'll wake up feeling probably bad that you fell off the wagon. You're going to wake up feeling tired because you definitely won't have slept as well. You'll feel quite low because those hormones that have made you feel really high have disappeared again. And you're on the path of somebody who's taking drugs, really. I mean, that's what it is. Sugar is a drug. It's it makes you happy, and then you soon feel quite low again, and you reach for the sugar again. So that person on the Sunday morning probably gets up and feels, do you know what? I know what will make me happy again. Some more chocolate, or pancakes, waffles, maple syrup,
chocolate.
And yeah, the vicious circle, and that's never a conscious decision. I don't think people make a conscious decision to say, get up and say, or let's say, get home from work and say, do you know what, I've had a bad day. Do you know what I need? I need some chocolate. And they rationally think it through. They don't. Your subconscious is saying, there's some chocolate in the fridge, just have a little bit and you'll feel happy. And it's an invisible voice inside your head. And you do it on autopilot. Just like you don't consciously go and clean your teeth before you go to bed, you just do it. And so if you let your subconscious control you to say, you're feeling a bit rubbish, have some chocolate, you'll do it if you're not careful.
Well, and mine says, shh, no one's looking. No one will even know.
And that's again, so that's a subconscious voice that has been there for a long time for you, obviously. And if it's a long-standing thing, which a lot of, let's face it, eating for everybody is a long-standing thing. We've eaten since we were born. We don't have a choice for the first probably 8, 9, 12 years what we ate. We were given what we were given by our parents. And we were probably on most kids, were given a plate of food and being told, you finish that. So we're almost forced to overeat. Yeah. So you've been there, same as me. So there's a lot of ingrained psychological pathways, synapses in your subconscious that have been there for many years. And that one's a good one. Even now, I think if somebody put a plate of food in front of me, there's a voice inside that says, you really need to finish this because it'll either come across as rude, or there's a voice in your head saying you're going to get told off because that's what you got told off as a kid. So there's lots of mental barriers that everyone has to try and step through.
Well, and for each of us, we didn't get to that low spot where we wanted to change our lives without issues. Like, I didn't spend most of my life being just under 300 pounds because I didn't have problems with food. I mean, I always had problems with food. I think keto has helped me more than anything else I've ever tried, only because I'm not hungry all of the time. I'm not obsessing over food all of the time. Like, before I started keto, I had weight loss surgery, and that helped me in a lot of ways because I physically could only eat a certain amount. But here's the problem. I still wanted to eat all of that food. And knowing that I couldn't eat it didn't change the fact that I wanted it and I felt like it was mine. So instead of becoming less obsessed over food, I actually swung totally the other direction and I became so obsessed over my food. I don't know how many times I had a public meltdown because somebody threw out my scraps, which was,
Okay.
that's my food. Like, that is my food. I was saving that. I was going to eat that later.
Yeah.
And someone had the nerve to throw it in the garbage like it was trash.
Yeah.
And I lost my ever loving mind. And people are like, but it's 3 bites of food, dude. Why do you care? That's a good question. Why do you care so much about your food, Dory? Like,
Yeah.
so do you ever deal with people like that have some more severe eating disorder issues? Because not everyone is ready to be thrown into the world of keto. I was actually just having a chat with a friend about this the other day because he came across the anti-dieting community. And on one hand, I don't understand it because this isn't really a diet. It's a healthy way you eat, but I also understand for people with severe eating disorders and they have so much tied into how they eat, just having somebody come up and say, "Oh my God, I started this new diet. You're going to like it," could literally throw them into a loop of self-harm because
Yeah.
they just aren't ready. They don't, that word is such a terrible, horrible thing to them. And you know what? I've had it mansplained to me too. They read me out of the dictionary what it actually means, because that matters. Like, that makes me feel better when you say the word diet and it stabs me in the chest and I go, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die." Please don't ever say that word to me. So do you ever kind of get the opportunity to work with those sorts of people at all?
Yeah, but a lot of the time that's not evident at the start, and I think quite often that's a very secretive part of why somebody will have an eating issue. The majority of people that are doing it to lose weight, that know that they eat badly, and because let me wrong, that's a different set of people altogether. There are people who think that they're eating absolutely healthily, that they're having their bowl of cornflakes in the morning and they're having their skim milk, and they're having all these things that are being told are healthy to them. And
Drive.
it says it on the packet, heart healthy, all these grains and carbohydrates. People having brown rice because it's got a lower glycemic index than white rice, brown pasta. And if somebody who's eating that way says, for whatever reason, I'm not losing weight and I'm not getting the results, and they're keen to explore, that's different to somebody who is either knowing or unknowingly emotionally eating. And the emotional eating is one side of it. Yes, there are other eating disorders, but it often manifests from that. Ultimately, a bad mental association with food can show itself in many ways. And so there are people that probably do need to go down the pathway of breaking association with food from being something that is a fundamental part of their life that they almost obsess over, and they do have to almost say, it's fuel. This is fuel. What I put in is going to result in what comes out, as in your physique, your skin, your health, your heart, your lungs, your whole thing. Nobody in the street can argue with you that what you eat has got to determine your health. And yet people eat such rubbish and knowingly eat rubbish. But then people knowingly smoke. So sometimes what can you do? But if somebody wants to change, there's a lot to be said about, yes, these are the facts of how nutrition works. This is how the three major metabolic hormones work, which again, the average person on the street will have heard of insulin, but you push the average person on the street to say, so you've heard of insulin, what does it do? You'll get the, it sorts out your sugar, and you might get a vague answer. You ask them about the other two, so ghrelin and leptin, and the average person on the street never heard of ghrelin, never heard of leptin. And those three are the three that control your whole hunger, metabolism, fat storage, feeling satiated when you've had something where actually you're full up. And if those three are in balance, life's easy in terms of food, because you're not craving it, you're not longing it, you've not got this process where the average person is kicking their pancreas around every day and putting it through a lot of strain, and then they wonder why they're pre-diabetic eventually, or develop diabetes type 2. And that's the scary, sad part of it. So the key to it is up there. Is firstly, it's the knowledge. Okay, these are the facts. This is what happens when you have too many carbs, and glucose is released into your blood, and insulin then comes into play. There's the factual part of it, and then there's why do we reach for something? Why some people will come home, a stressful day at work, and they're going to pour a drink because they know that drink's going to take the edge off. But a bit like with sugar, the next morning they're not going to feel great, and if they're not careful, they'll have slept badly and have another bad day, and then come home and go, I think I'll have another 2 or 3 glasses of what. So it's breaking habits and forming habits. That's almost the key part of it. So one of the first things I'd say to somebody as well, setting off, is to say, okay, if you're going to start this, don't say you're going to start it tomorrow. Let's start it on a Monday. But for the next couple of days, buy the things you need to buy, and then get rid of everything in your house that's going to sit there as a temptation. And it's quite amazing, really. I did this again with somebody in London who walked around a house and then showed me the contents of a bin bag full of biscuits, crackers, ice cream tubs, and good for her. She was saying, "It's going in the bin tonight. That's going away." And then start on Monday with healthy. This is what I'm going to have, and I understand the reasons why. Because let's face it, around the world, we're in and out of lockdowns and restrictions. If you're at home and you have had a tough day and you get through the door, and then something inside says, "Do you know what? I need that chocolate biscuit, or I need that glass of wine or vodka." So I have to get up, get in the car, and drive somewhere to get it. May well be the thing that says, actually, it's not worth it, because your conscious mind will rationalize and say, that's a lot of effort just to get a little bit of a kick. So it's all up there. And that's the key. If people can actually say, I understand why my subconscious is telling me to go and get these things or have these things, then that's the first step to saying, now I can unlock the key to saying I can control it. And that's no different to, like you say, some of the more varied and more difficult emotional eating traits someone might have. There's always a key that unlocks your brain to say, okay, I can do this. It's finding that.
For me, that key was the difference between I can't have this and I don't want this. So when someone says, oh my God, you're keto, you can't eat any bread. I can. I physically know how to eat bread. I can eat whatever I want. Do I want to, though? Yeah. That's the question. Do I want the after effects? Do I want the feeling that's going to come along with it? But I know that for me, as a serial binge dieter, yo-yo dieter, that to say I can't have it, well, then it's right at the very top of my brain. And then as soon as I've done a couple of days and I'm ready for a reward, because hello, I earned that. Like, hello, I didn't eat candies every day for 3 days. I deserve to eat 3 days worth of candies in sitting. Like, isn't that how it goes? When you say I can't, and then the second you think, you know what, I'm just going to have one cookie. But then because I told myself for a whole week that I couldn't have those cookies, I'm not just going to have one cookie and walk away and say, okay, I had my cookie, I had my reward. I'm going to take that bag of cookies and I'm going to hide in my room with it. I'm going to eat the whole bag. Yeah. And then I'm just going to pretend like I didn't even eat cookies.
Yeah, and that's common. And I think what also that you'll find is the thought line of people is to say, I'm only going to have one cookie. I might have two. And then once I've had the two things happen. There's the thought to say, well, I've blown it now anyway, so I may as well have the lot. Or right. I'm going to start
again. Plus, I'll be there tomorrow if I eat the whole bag tonight.
Yeah, well, that's it. But But then that's the other thing people think is to say, well, I tell you what, if I eat them all, then I won't have the temptation in the morning. So I can start again and be good. Yeah. So there's these key things that people do, those habits. They're almost, they are irrational, subconscious excuses. It's your brain saying, have some more of this stuff that is making these lovely hormones make you feel good. Have some more, and justify it by the fact that if you have them all, they won't be here in the morning, so you can be good again.
Right? Fresh slate, clean in the morning. You just
Yeah.
start all over again. So I have a lot of people, because we talked a lot about what happens when you go off of track. I have a lot of people that will message me when they're ready to come back, and they're like, oh my God, Dory, I didn't want to tell you because I thought you'd be like disappointed in me or upset with me, which I never am, by the way. But then they say to me, okay, so now what? Like, I've been planning to get back on track every day for a month and it's not happening. So give me a kick in the butt and tell me what I got to do. What do I have to do to get back on track? And what do you usually recommend to people in that situation?
Well, that happens a lot. So I hear things like on a Wednesday, someone will say, you're going to be really disappointed in me. I've had a really bad day. I've had some chocolate. But don't worry, I'm going to refocus and I'm going to get back onto it on Monday. And I'm saying, okay, it's Wednesday today. Are you planning to be bad for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? So...
well, a fresh week though, right? Like...
and that's it, psychology. And that's the subconscious saying, okay, let's go for a fresh week, because good to start a week, you know, when you very first started. Let's start on a Monday, because that's psychologically a good place to start. But if you fall off, which people do, it really is a case of, okay, wake up. And, you know, training your subconscious is actually really important. Start of the day and end of the day. And the start of the day, a lot of people get up and they're on autopilot. I am, you are, everybody is. So my alarm goes off, I get up, and I probably do the same thing every morning. And when I'm done with that, I'll get in the car and I'll drive to work. That drive's the same most days. I'm not really thinking about it. And if you can put a buffer in there, so every morning you wake up and say, okay, focus. What am I eating today? What am I drinking? Have I got my water? Have I got something healthy that I'm taking to work for lunch? Because that's sometimes the other hurdle for people, is to say, not prepared. So gone to work, haven't taken the chicken salad or the tuna, you know, mayo, and they get to work and go, oh, Jane's just walked in with a tray of donuts because it's her birthday. And I haven't got lunch. And I'm actually, I'll sod it, I'll do it tomorrow. And it's easy to find that excuse. If you start the day right, focus, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I've got prepared, then actually that focus stays with you all day. So my advice for people is to refocus. It's always about refocus, and do it straight away, because otherwise the danger of, oh, I've messed up on a Wednesday, but I'm going to restart on a Monday, is for the next 4 days, if you don't get back on, you reinforce the bad habits, not the good ones. So it is a case of, everyone falls down, you get back up, you refocus, and you go again. Not easy for everybody, but it's habit forming.
Yes. I find for a lot of the ladies in my group, it's about cutting the guilt association that comes along with cheating. And we kind of really don't like that word in my group. I tend to refer to it as eating off plan, because something about the word cheating, that it just triggers something where you think, well, you know what, I already cheated once, I may as well like cheat all the way, like cheaty cheaterson, and just get right in there like the dirty shirt. So for me, I find that sometimes it's about accepting, you know what, I did that and it's okay. Like I ate a donut, wasn't the best choice, but if you cut that guilt cord between I ate the donut, I'm a terrible human being, I've thrown my whole diet away, I'm trash, then you can just eat the donut and move on and say, okay, you know what, I shouldn't have eaten the donut, but the next thing I put in my mouth is going to be a healthy something, and that's where we go from there. But I find that sometimes it's it's the guilt that drags us down that road, because it's that feeling of it's perfect or it's trash. And
All or nothing. Yeah,
there's no in between. Like
yeah.
there's no, well, I kind of had an okay-ish day. You know what? I had a low carb day. I had a little bit of sugar and I did eat a donut. But overall, for the whole day, I was still lower carb. Clap for me. Like, and I think if you can get that part in your brain where just one little mistake doesn't ruin everything, then it's easier to just say, you know what, I ate the donut. Kind of wasn't my brightest moment. I hope nobody caught me. But now I can just move on from that. And I don't have to feel like I'm the worst person on the planet. I failed my diet. I failed my friends. I mean, I have all this support, and all these people are going to be so disappointed in me.
Yeah, and actually, I think it's important to have good analogies for it. I love the analogy of your body being like a car, and the fuel you put in affects how that car runs. And actually, if you then put that into context of the person eating the donut, if you're running a car that runs on diesel rather than gas, petrol, and you put some petrol in it, that car doesn't, blow up. That car just runs poorly for a little while until you put the correct fuel back in. And that's no different to the person having the donut. They've just put the wrong fuel in. The car doesn't break.
Do you know what? You made me think of the best analogy, because that actually happened to me one time. When I was in my 20s, I accidentally put $5 worth of diesel fuel in my gasoline car, and I didn't know what to do. So I phoned a mechanic friend of mine, and he said, "Don't panic, Dory. It's only a little bit. You didn't fill up the whole car. Did you fill up the whole car?" I said, "No, it's $5. And he said, "Don't worry. Fill up the rest of your tank with gas. It's going to mix in there. And you know what? It's not going to damage your engine as long as you didn't fill your whole tank and then drive it. Please tell me you didn't drive it yet." And I was like, "No, I ain't go nowhere."
Exactly. And that is a lovely analogy, because that takes away the guilt. That's just, you've done something a bit silly, but you know what? You've not broken the car. The car still carries on. You've had a donut. You haven't broken your body. You might sleep a bit poorly, but tomorrow you put the right fuel back in. That calms people down. And like you say, if you throw guilt at people as well, that's the last thing people need. Slightly changing the subject, what I was going to ask you was, and I won't tell you my view on it, but talk to me about macros. Keto and macros tend to go hand in hand in the keto world.
Oh, see, Dory has different theories about macros than most people. I think that macros are a really good guideline. I think if you're just starting keto and you don't have any idea what to eat and you're not aware of portions, then I would recommend going to Ruled Me Calculator. Even after just Google how much should I eat on keto, it'll pull up a calculator and it'll ask you some questions. It'll say, how much do you weigh? What's your body mass index? What are your weight loss goals and how active are you? And then it's going to guesstimate for you, based on your weight loss goals, how much you should eat: fat, protein, carbohydrates. And I think that's an amazing starting off point for most people. For me, because I had bariatric surgery, when I went in there, it told me that I was supposed to eat 1,600 to 2,000 calories a day. And I went, I'll die. Like, I can't physically eat that much food. So I went out into the keto groups and I said, okay, so what happens if I can't eat as much as it says, and if I can't hit each of those macros? And you know what they said to me? Then A, you can't lose weight, and B, keto's not for you. Imagine,
Wow.
Dory, that you're at the fair and you're playing that game where you hit the sledgehammer. And unless you hit each of those bells, it's not going to work, and you're not going to lose weight, and keto's not going to be for you. But I'm
Sure.
stubborn. I'm stubborn because I had already been eating a smaller amount of calories for 8 years by the time I found keto. So I knew I wasn't going to die. I know I can eat that. I know I can. But nobody would help me figure out macros. So I did the only thing I could do. And I decided that I would track everything I eat. And I would keep in mind my fat level and how much protein I should have, and just kind of track what I do eat. I didn't overeat. I didn't undereat. I ate when I felt like it. I stopped when I didn't. And then at the end of 2 months, I took all of that information and I looked at it and I went, okay, I know what works for me. So I realized for me, I don't process protein quite as well as everybody. So I slightly lowered my protein intake. And when I did that in the calculator, it slightly bumped my fat and my carbs. So what I found for me personally, and I don't ever recommend to anybody my own macros, but for me, I found an 80, 14, and then 6% carbs works best for me personally. So for everyone, honestly, I say reverse track. Reverse track. Eat what you're comfortable eating. Eat what you know works for you. Eat the foods that your body loves, that don't bother you, and then sit down with your own data and figure it out for your own dang self. Because Betty next to me isn't going to eat the same as I did. Even if we had the same surgery, it's just not the same. And I feel like everybody acts like macros are set in stone, and that if you don't do it exactly 75, 25, 15, you're wrong. And by the way, you're going to hell. And just so you know.
Yeah, you've summed it up pretty well. You talked. When we started, came on here. We talked about the Carnivore Police. You've almost got the Macro Police, and there's a lot of people quite surprised with my coaching. I don't advocate macros at all. I think it's a potentially confusing and stressful thing for people to have to count, and they're loading up apps and they're typing in the food, and sometimes the app gets the food wrong. And I've had people saying to me, oh, I'm trying to get to my 20-gram carb target each day. I'm trying and I haven't done it today. And wow. Really, for me, totally amazing. But that's, as you've said, that's what they're told on certain groups. You need to download this app. You need to follow your macros. You need to get your ratios right. Well, my basics would be this. Keep the carbs as low as possible. If you have zero, well, that's fine. It is absolutely fine. Bonus, yeah. Hard to hit zero because there's carbs in dairy. There's carbs in certain things, that you can't avoid, even if you were trying. But I think most people, one of the most ingrained things that people worry about is eating fat. And that is the hardest nut to crack. And there's no pun intended there. The hardest nut to crack is getting somebody to say, I want to lose weight. Keto will do this for me, but you got to eat fat to lose fat. And that's always the hardest thing, because that's common knowledge. People have been told that since they were young. If you eat fat, you'll get fat. If you have too much fat, you'll get cholesterol. You'll have heart disease. All these big warning things that are ingrained. So that's a difficult part of it. What people don't know is the danger of eating too much protein.
Yes.
So
and I believe so hard, because when I first learned about keto and I watched one video that changed my life, and I started doing my research and I started talking to my family, do you know what they said to me? That sounds like a really good idea. It sounds really healthy, but maybe not that much fat.
Yeah.
I'm worried about your health, maybe not that much fat. So I decided in my head, because Dory's creates things however she wants to. Dory just decided she could be a low-fat keto. You totally can. You totally can. It's called low carb. It's not keto. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be starving all of the time. And you might want to walk down the street and kick puppies. Because I was hungry. I was starving. I was deprived. I was miserable. I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I was eating the right amount of food, but why am I so stinking hungry? And the answer is the fat. I didn't want to add the fat, and I was really convinced that I could just do it my own way. And not the boss of me.
Exactly, and again, the knowledge is the knowledge part of it, because again, the average person in the street will think high fat diet. Oh, that's not good. Health issues, and you're certainly not going to lose weight on a high fat diet. That's what the average person will think. What the average person doesn't know is what happens when you have too much protein. That your body will go into gluconeogenesis. Your body will convert every gram of protein that you have over what your body needs on any given day. Your body has to do something with that macronutrient. Your body has to do something. Carbs, it's very simple. Your body turns it to glucose And if your glucose levels rise, insulin pulls it down by turning it into body fat. Protein. Your body, even if you have a very sedentary job where you literally lay in bed all day, your body's regenerating skin, hair, all your cells are being regenerated with protein. It's an essential. But if you have too much, the excess, something has to happen to it. And the way your body deals with that excess protein is the worst thing you can probably want on a keto diet. It turns it back into glucose and kicks you out of ketosis. So, you know, anyone that's watching this now, listening, if you are having too much protein, you need to be wary that that will be kicking you out of ketosis if you're not careful, because it's the only way your body will cope with that excess protein. Now, the most interesting part of that then is when you get to fat. If you ate too much fat in a day, more than your body needed, your body will turn a small proportion of that fat into glucose, but it's minor. It's maybe 5-10% of the excess in the fat. The rest of that fat has to go somewhere, and where it goes is thermogenesis. Your brown fat cells, which a lot of them are around this area here, around your neck, they will increase. Yeah, they'll increase temperature by only 0.5 or 1 degree, and they'll burn that excess fat that you've eaten. Those lipids will actually burn as heat. So actually, if you have too much fat, guess what? It doesn't make you fat. You'll just feel quite hot.
Well, and I think the easiest way that I found to explain to people is carbs are goal. You don't really want to go over it. But again, is it the end of the world if you eat 25 grams of carbs in one day instead of 20 and you eat 15 the next day? No, it's not. You want to keep it in mind just as a goal. As a goal. This is my goal for carbs for the day. I don't want to go over that. And then your protein is a target. So you kind of want to get in and around that area as long as it's the ballpark, right? Like you don't want to not eat enough protein, but you don't want to overeat protein. And then I consider fat a lever. So honestly, I tell people add as much fat as you need to not be hungry. I find that that's the trick for satiation. Like you can have a 10-ounce porterhouse steak and be full. Or you can have a 6-ounce porterhouse steak with 2 tablespoons of butter on it and be just as full. So Absolutely. For me, I just tell people, you know what, you can't really over fat. You can under fat, but you can't really over fat. If you're hungry, have a little extra fat. If you're having your bacon and eggs, I like to put a little butter on top of the egg once it's cooked, not just cook it in the butter. Or I add a little bit of mayonnaise with sriracha, but just that little extra bump of fat. Like when I eat vegetables, I add a tablespoon of fat. And I tell people it's the rule of thumb. Yep. A thumbful or a tablespoon of fat per serving. So if you're having a serving of broccoli with a tablespoon of fat on it, you're going to be full. Because a lot of people will say, but Dory, like, I could eat like 10 cups of broccoli and not be full. But I guarantee you, if you have a cup of broccoli with butter on it, you're going to be more full than if you're just eating the broccoli.
Well, yeah, and we're into another key area of my coaching, because there's some terminology there. So if somebody's saying they're full, what is full? You've got physically full, as in you've eaten so much that your stomach is full physically, and then there's full mentally, and that's back to the leptin hormone. So yes, you eat something that's highly swimming in butter, or something like you said, a steak with lots of butter on it, some mushrooms that have been cooked in butter. You'll struggle to finish that meal, and it's not because your stomach has run out of space. It's because that leptin hormone is telling your brain, enough. You're having too much, and guess what? You're going to force your body to heat up and get rid of all this fat if you're not careful. So your body tells you when you're full. And I think that's one of the biggest things I learned over the last few years is the ability to listen to your body, because that's what you can actually do. Hunger, on the other hand, I've had somebody I work with said, "Oh, crikey, I didn't have much for lunch. Can't wait to get home. I'm starving." And I look at him. He's not starving. I can guarantee he's not starving.
Wasting away.
And he's not wasting away. So his starving is all up there. He's not starving as in, crikey, he's not going to make it home if he's not careful, he doesn't have something to eat.
Yeah.
His brain is listening to the other hormone, which is ghrelin. And the ghrelin is telling him, hey, crikey, we want some food.
We might die. He hasn't fed 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's ghrelin saying you are starving hungry. Ghrelin is exacerbated when insulin's in your system. Insulin allows ghrelin to run freely, and insulin suppresses leptin, strangely. So if you have carbs, insulin stops the leptin hormone, the one that says I'm full, and allows ghrelin to run riot. So back to that person that says I'm starving hungry, it's ghrelin. It's because they've had something with carbs in it. One of the things I'm sure, you know, on your YouTube channel you would have talked about or covered, so like a Bulletproof Coffee, so a famous keto staple. But a Bulletproof Coffee, in essence, is a really good thing as a start of the day. So somebody who likes their coffee, a Bulletproof Coffee, so butter and egg yolk, some salt. I like them myself. If I had one of those in the morning, there's a good chance I might not even eat, you know, all the way through to the end of the day. And because that will suppress ghrelin and the leptin will still be in your system.
I'm obsessed with Bulletproof Coffee. Ironically enough, my very first recipe that I made was unicorn sparkle Bulletproof Coffee because I saw that sparkle cappuccino video that was on Facebook everywhere a couple of years ago. And I saw it and I thought, oh, I need that in my life. So I went to Google and I started Googling sparkly Bulletproof Coffee.
Wow.
Sparkles. I need sparkles.
That's
and
a new one on me.
I couldn't find it. So I made it because, hello, sparkles.
That's a new one on me. I wouldn't even imagine what that looked like. I mean,
I make
obviously,
them out of
obviously
gelatin.
sparkly.
So they're technically carnivore. So the way that you make your own edible sugar-free sparkles, you take a tablespoon of gelatin and then you add a little bit of food color and you add the luster dust is what makes it shiny. You roll it out really, lay it out really, really thin, let it dry, and then you bust it up in your coffee maker and it makes sparkles.
Okay.
What is life without sparkle? Like, come on.
Dory, somebody I've just noticed on the feed has asked about leptin resistance.
Oh yeah, by all means, get into that. That's more sciencey than Dory usually goes, but you go there. I love that.
I just think on something like that, my understanding of leptin resistance will be just the misbalance of those three hormones, and in terms of curing that is just longevity. That's the longer you're into a low carb way of eating, the more those three hormones will start to behave the right way in your body. So yes, somebody who's been on a standard American diet, high carbs, will be leptin resistant because leptin's always been suppressed by insulin. So as you go into a ketogenic type of way of eating, those three hormones will start to regulate themselves as we were designed to do when we were, when we first, became man and went out as hunter-gatherers. Those three are there for a reason. They are to tell you when you're full, to tell you when you're hungry, and to actually store some carbohydrate when there was some available, fruits and berries, for the longer periods in the winter when you might not have it. So those three are essential. But in terms of leptin resistant, it's just time. There's nothing else. There's no magical cure for it. It's curing your pancreas and getting insulin back in check.
So because I have an expert here, I have something that I want to chat about, because this is, I think, one of the most common misconceptions that I hear about keto. And I'm like, you know what? I can send you videos. I'm not a doctor. I don't even pretend to be one on TV. But the most common misconception that I hear that I just came across the other day was your body needs carbohydrates. You need this to fuel properly. And if you eat a ketogenic or a carnivore diet long term, you are damaging your long-term metabolic health.
Wow.
And I was like, I know that I'm not. It's been 4 years. I'll send you a video. But since how we got the expert, let's talk about that because
Yeah.
she even said you need carbs. Have you ever heard of keto brain fog? And I was like, it's the opposite though, dude. Like you are so the opposite side of where we're going. So
Yeah.
I find that for me, I get come at with that all the time. And I think as a brand new person who just wanted to start keto, I might would believe some of that stuff. So let's kind of get into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually it's not as complicated as someone might sort of think it would be. So technically, biologically, yes, your body does need a small amount of carbohydrates to function in certain areas. And certain brain cells will need carbohydrates, and there's certain other body functioning cells that need carbohydrate. When I say need, it's really small levels. Your body is super efficient at using ketones for fuel over and above carbohydrates. Okay. So back to that argument. Oh, well, you know, you've just admitted that your body does need a certain amount of carbohydrate. Well, if we rewind a second, we've also said that your body quite easily goes into this state of gluconeogenesis. That is converting protein and some fat into carbohydrates. So your body's a very, very clever machine. When it needs it, it can actually produce it itself. So there is no issue there. Yes, your body needs a very small amount of carbohydrate, but yes, your body will convert it from protein and fat if you absolutely add zero anyway. Most people will struggle. I will struggle. You think I'm ketovore way of eating. So mine is predominantly meat, egg, fish, some non-meat things like coconut oil, asparagus, mushrooms, butter, ghee. That would be what I eat. Well, inherently in that field of food, you have some carbs, and certainly enough carbs to actually provide what your body needs for those small parts of your brain that need carbohydrate and the other body functions. So there is no issue. So anybody that worries about it, there's no need to worry. Your body actually can get those carbs from what you're having anyway.
So I just tell them that I have carbs in my broccoli and in the veggies that I love. And I just go right to the under question that they're asking. And I remind them that a Snickers is not an essential carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Because really, that's what that argument comes down to. Like,
it's trying to find an excuse, isn't it? It's that person wanting the excuse for having the thing that they know probably is not too good for them.
Is it a carb?
I mean, the other interesting question that comes up quite a lot, and actually, at first, I guess it used to not annoy me, but I used to roll my eyes and go, "Here we go again." I quite like this question now because you hear it all the time. Not so much maybe on pure keto, but certainly ketovore and carnivore. The question I get asked is, what about fiber? What about fiber? What about you need fiber in your diet?
Everybody wants to poop.
Exactly. And my favorite thing anyone asks me now. So a good friend of mine asked me that not too long ago. Oh, what about fiber? And I said, what about it? Well, you need fiber, don't you? And I said, do you? Why is that? Well, you just do. He said, everybody knows you need fiber. I said, okay, they may know it. I said, but why? And he couldn't answer me at first. And then he said, keep you regular. And I said, well, I must be in a lot of trouble then, because I haven't had fiber for a year and I'm still here. So do you need fiber? No, you don't need fiber.
Well, and I think that I was chatting with a friend the other day and she came across that the most common Googled term right now is keto diarrhea, because people are like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen? And it happened to me when I started keto. You're flushing out your system. You're no longer putting in all of the garbage. I just wish that somebody would have told me, don't trust a keto fart. Like, that's it. Like, that is wisdom. You put that in your back pocket and you take that with you somewhere.
Well, I have seen that comment many a time on one of these Facebook groups, and probably amplified by the person that says, hey, I'm going to do keto absolutely the right way, and they drink a gallon of MCT oil in the first week. Well, that's a guaranteed problematic week for them.
Well, and I find personally those issues generally level out,
Yeah,
and really it matters what your pre-diet was. Like pre-keto, how bad was your diet? Like was it standard American, like really American, or was it like don't even talk to me, Dory? Because that makes a difference too. And when we talked about just picking a day and starting a day, I think for a lot of people, when they pick that day as Monday or Wednesday or later in the week, that gives them the opportunity to fast food binge, to binge eat, to because whenever I was going to start a new diet, because I mean, hello, my life is going to change forever and I'm never going to have a donut again.
yeah,
So I would have to go out and I won't lie. At my worst, I would plan 2 weeks, 2 weeks to know that I could eat, because otherwise I'm not going to eat all the things that I want. I'm not going to have
yeah.
time to have Chinese food and pizza and donuts, and I'm never going to eat these things ever again. And then I would maybe diet for 2 or 3 days and be like, oh, this is so hard. I can't, I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it's the. I mean, let's face it, it's the hardest change. That first week, first 10 days for anybody that's saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do this," it's the hardest 10 days, and a lot of people, I think, give up by day 6, 7, and they don't believe or feel that actually they're going to come through it. And that's difficult. That's a shame, but that is how it is for people. You know, and same with electrolytes. I think the cramps. People don't have enough salt, and I think there are people that go keto and still think, "Oh, salt's bad for you, so I best limit my salt." Well, actually, you need salt. And the lovely thing is, guess what? Your body, if you overeat salt, well, two things happen. Your palate, your brain won't let you overeat salt. If you oversalt your food, your brain tells you you can't eat this. It almost becomes inedible if you put too much salt in something. So your brain's pretty clever. If you do have quite a lot of salt, but your brain's able to say, okay, that's salty, but I can eat this, your body flushes it out. As long as you're hydrated. The only danger of too much salt is somebody who's just not having enough water during the day. So, you know, good hydration and good salt levels, massively important.
Well, and I find that I have to go to the bathroom more. Like,
Yeah.
and it's because I'm flushing more out of my system. I lose electrolytes faster, I
Yeah.
replenish them faster. I mean, I'm also willing to, factor in that I'm getting old. But
Yeah, we all are.
but I've noticed with keto, if I have to go pee, I gotta go pee right now. Like I can't be like, oh, I gotta go now, but then in 15 minutes I'll go. Like I gotta go right now. Right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's common. That comes on fast. Yeah, your body does work through hydration and cleansing faster on a ketogenic diet, and probably even more so when you go carnivore. It's because there's so little fiber that there's nothing to actually soak up the liquid you're drinking. You just flush.
Well, and your body's so smart. If you let it do the work, like
Yeah,
your body will do all the heavy lifting. Like the one thing I like to refer to is people will always message me and say, "Oh my God, Dory, so I heard about intermittent fasting. Tell me about this. Everybody's having all these results and it's awesome and I want to know how to do it and tell me how to do it." And I usually tell them it's not something you even have to aim for as a goal. I get it. Everybody sees it and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." But if you eat when you're hungry
yeah,
and don't eat when you're not hungry, guess what? Your body will build its own perfect feeding schedule,
that's a
because
lot.
it happened to me all by myself. I was not intending to intermittent fast. But when I broke the cycle of boredom eating and just eating when I felt like it and when I actually wasn't hungry, and when I let my body take control over that, guess what? It's smarter than me. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't care if I had a bad day or if somebody dirty looked me in the grocery store. It doesn't care. It only says, "You're not hungry, Dory. You're not hungry." So when I meet people and they're like, "Oh my God, I have to learn how to intermittent fast. Teach me, teach me." I just tell them, do the diet, eat the food, get fat adapted. And guess what? your body will build a schedule and you'll know when is a good time for you to eat. My whole day flipped. Like when I started keto, I forced myself breakfast because, hello, most important meal of the day. You're also going to die if you don't eat breakfast. Just sidebar, everybody dies if they don't eat
Yeah.
breakfast. So I got up in the morning and I forced myself breakfast, but I'm not a morning eater. So it makes me feel gross, nauseous. It triggers something that I can only describe as starvation mode. So it doesn't matter how much I eat throughout the day, but I'm always hungry. Like I feel like I'm hungry. I don't ever feel like I'm full. Sometimes I feel hungry and full at the same time when I eat in the morning. And it makes it so hard for me to differentiate. Am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Do I
Okay.
just have in my head, it's morning time, it's time to eat, Dory? And when I stopped eating breakfast and I stopped guilting myself about that, because that was a big one to let go of, and I started eating when I felt like eating, guess what? Naturally, I eat between 2 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon for the first time of the day, because that's just when I feel like eating. We eat dinner at 8 p.m. I have a small snack around 10, and that's my day. Like I eat from 3 p.m. till 10 p.m. I have a 7-hour window. Guess what? Hallelujah. Know what that is? Intermittent fasting.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. Your body, once you're fat adapted, your body will know. For a long time now, I've been naturally not having to do it, but one meal a day. And I eat when I get in. So I eat maybe 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. And I will be hungry, but that hunger at that point is not hunger of stomach rumbling. My hunger is I feel pretty tired. So I'm tired, I need some energy, not, oh, I'm hungry as in my stomach's rumbling. It's a different type of hunger. Hunger that if I didn't have that food at 6:30, I couldn't go out and play tennis. I couldn't go for a 5-mile run because I just wouldn't have the energy in me. But one meal a day suits me fine. And actually, it's not a big meal. It would be something like a ribeye steak, some asparagus and some mushrooms, butter and salt. And there are times when I'm thinking, struggling to finish this, and quite happy to sort of, either put some back in the fridge or throw the what I haven't eaten away.
Well, and that's one thing that I actually, because I don't generally foray into OMAD. I do know people who do. It is like a whole culture unto itself. They have their own police too, by the way, just saying. Um, I don't generally do that, but I have a lot of people say, okay, so I'm supposed to eat 2,000 calories a day. I'm gonna OMAD. How do I make a 2,000
Oh,
calorie meal? And
wow.
how do I put that all in one meal? And I'm like, oh my, for the love of no,
Wow.
dude. Just eat a regular meal like you would, eat as much as you want until you're full. Please don't not eat all day and then try to sit down to one 2,000 calorie meal that you sit down and eat in an hour, because your tummy ain't gonna like you.
No, I know. That's again, there's got to be a degree of common sense behind all this. And I think people can unfortunately be a little bit almost overthinking it. And instead of just going with okay, what's sensible here? What's the benefits of one meal a day? Because actually, if that one meal and they've got a calorie target becomes a little bit of a binge, that's not good either. Because that's what that ultimately can be for somebody to say, I can eat one meal a day. And if they're not counting calories with it as well, and that binge is actually, highly calorific with, lots on there, it's not necessarily doing me any favors at all. So yeah, that's something that I think, intermittent fasting, listen to your body. That's the overall message there for sure.
Yay. Well, I am so excited. I did not realize
I know.
You're just too fun to chat with. So while we wrap up, because I want to give you a chance to kind of give us a final thought, whatever you feel like you want to share, and then let everybody know where can they find you. I found you on Facebook, and originally I met you on Instagram, but let everybody else know where they can find you,
Okay.
where they can follow you, and also if they're interested in your coaching services, can you please let us know where they can get in touch with you for that as well?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the Keto coach. I'm predominantly on Instagram, and will base most of my posts and details around Instagram, really, for me. Final thought, which would probably become another hour's discussion if we're not careful, is don't get too drawn into the calories in, calories out debate. I think you see that as being a massive subject, which people get very het up about. All I'd say is the reality is calories do matter, but it's not as simple as that. It really, really, really isn't. You couldn't say to any sensible person, there's a bowl of broccoli and fish there, and there's 2,000 calories in that bowl. And there's also a bowl there of Haribos, and there's 2,000 calories of Haribos. If you eat both, are you going to get the same result? Because nobody in their right mind is going to say, yeah, because it's all about the calories. There has to be a massive response to what you're eating. So that would be my final thought. But yeah, if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, it'd be great. So at the Keto Coach, there'll be links on there to the coaching. And yeah, if anybody wants some help or advice, only too happy to help.
And also, Matt has joined our Facebook group. So if you have any questions in group, if you want to ask Matt any questions, if you're interested in his coaching, if you just want to chit chat with him because he's awesome, shoot him a message in our group too, because we're going to hang out. We're going to have some fun. And I'm hoping we can do this again. Because
100%. There's so much to cover. And actually, it's easy talking with you. We're both on the same page with it. So yeah, 100% do this again. And hopefully the people who've watched it and who will watch the recordings of it will get a lot from it.
We'll catch you guys on the replay. Thanks so much for joining us, Matt. And it was awesome to meet you today.
Thanks, Dory. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Okay, so let's go. Can we remove Matt out? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, there we go. We're back with us. So I want to give you guys one last quick reminder / shameless plug for Dory. Top 5 for favorite chef voting is on until the 11th. So you have 4 more days to vote for the top 5. I'm currently number 4. So, and I actually so super wish I'd like to finish 3rd. So have a great day, guys. And I will pop in and cook something fun for you later today. Take care. Bye, guys.